Wait here for this to get going. So, how's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we did see a pullback. We can cover some CPI data if you're interested. So, jump in real quick here. Let me pull this up. We did not see how that landed, so trying to find a quick article. So inflation did end up falling 0.1%. So this is from the prior month. That is positive because seeing CPI even go down a little bit is a little more positive than we have seen where it's staying steady or increasing a little bit. The case for lower rates does increase if we see CPI decreasing, so keep that in mind. So it was not that great, just a 0.1 decrease. So we would want to see a more significant decrease, but we are on a trend of staying pretty flat, or at least trying to decrease since September of 23. We really have been waving around. So ideally, we would break below this 3%. We need to get to that 2%. Ideally, we'd have no inflation, but that's not the way our dollar works. It's always getting devalued. So I would watch if we can continue lower and we continue this trend. We could start to see the rate hikes, but I don't think it would be too likely right now, just based on it was a little bit lower, and we have seen it a little bit lower before at this 3.1%, and we have broken back up. So we are at 3%. That is the lowest it has been for a while, but if we do see a jump next month or the month after, then that would decrease the chances of those rate cuts actually, and could increase chances of rate hikes if we're not careful. Remember, they need that 2%, and if we're going to struggle at 3%, they're either going to move the goalpost or they're going to raise rates. So over on the daily, RSI is pulling back, our stochastic is rounding away, that VWAP does want to reject neutral, and our momentum is pushing down. If that VWAP or yellow wave continues to reject here, our momentum, our blue wave will continue lower, and our money flow could continue from red, deepening into that red and showing that people are selling off. We did hit that 300 EMA, so that does show that we did try to break that critical level, but we were unable to break it. That could be positive for Dixie, and that could signal that we may jump up, but we don't really have much hype here, and ideally Dixie is going to continue to decrease if crypto is going to increase, because usually they are inversely related. So over on the 4-hour, we did break that EMA. We are staying below it, so I would exercise caution. If we don't create a bullish trend and push forward, there's likelihood we would push to the 103 and continue lower. Stochastic is pretty beat down here. Our blue line is above the orange though. That is positive. We are trying to push that 30. So if stochastic can break that 30, we could try to continue further up. However, if our stochastic rounds away here, RSI likely would pull back with it, and we could see price action make another dive. Our VWAP or yellow wave does have lower lows with lower highs. We are attempting to make a higher high, but if we don't cross the neutral and then hold into a bullish trend with higher highs and higher lows, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow would remain beat down, the blue wave and red wave respectively. Over on the 2-hour, we are trying to trend kind of flat after getting a little bit of a bounce. We could make a bull flag if we continue to consolidate. Our stochastic does want to run up. We do have our blue above orange. RSI is pushing up, so we do look decent on the 2-hour. VWAP is breaking for a higher high. If we can continue with higher highs and higher lows, momentum will gain further strength, and money flow could start to push forward. Over on the 1-hour, we do have that consolidation, so I would watch if this continues. We could create that bull flag to help push us maybe around that yellow EMA. But if we get rejected by that yellow EMA, we could create a lower high. And then if we get that lower high with lower lows, we could create a bearish channel. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is gaining strength as a result. VWAP is remaining bullish after getting a little bit of bearish favor that brought us down. So if that VWAP can continue to favor bullish, momentum will continue higher and money flow could continue to reverse. That would strengthen those higher time frames. But if that VWAP rejects, and then we favor bearish like we did back here and back here, we could see another continued drop to that 103. And remember, if we don't hold that, we have that 101 area. Over on total for the daily, we did hold our ground pretty decent ahead of the CPI. CPI going down could be positive for crypto because if CPI continues to go down, then people are going to buy more risky assets, and most people think crypto is just a big gamble. So we did have this descending triangle. You can see that did play out. We are going to get rid of that little micro pattern if I can get the line there, and then we will continue. We did try to run forward toward the bottom of our bear flag possibility, so that was another retest, and we do have another rejection. If followed by another red candle, it's likely we would see this rising channel bring us lower and have that bear flag continue to play out. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. Our VWAP is trying to push into the bullish territory. Momentum is gaining strength. We do have that green line signaling a bullish divergence. That bullish divergence could try to push us forward, but we need to see some strong green candles and hold that 300 EMA. Otherwise, if we break that EMA, we're probably going to see some strong downswings. Remember, this could bring us down to around that 506 area, and then our flag could bring us down to around the 480 area. Stochastic is dropping. We do have that orange above blue, and that's causing us to crash, bringing RSI lower. If this continues, price action will follow. We are breaking our EMA band, so if we see another strong red candle, we could start to see some volatility, just like when we broke our EMA back there. Momentum is rounding away. Our VWAP is pushing into the bearish territory with a lower low. So as that yellow wave continues to sell off, momentum will continue to round the blue wave, and that will cause money flow to go from being indecisive, possibly pulling back and going into the red, showing that people are selling off. And remember, if people are selling off on total, that's representative of all the altcoins besides Ethereum, as this is the market cap of all of them combined. Over on the 2 hour, we do have higher highs, but we have consistent lows, so I would exercise caution. That could end up breaking us lower if we continue with some lower lows. This candle right here does look like it does want to try and carve out a lower low. So if we get lower lows with lower highs, we could see another bearish channel and another breakdown. We do have that rising channel that could bring us lower. Momentum is dropping, stochastic's dropping, RSI is pulling back. That VWAP is favoring bearish, causing momentum to drop and weakening money flow. So if that VWAP continues to favor under this neutral, momentum will continue to push down. Money flow will start to break from green into red, and that will show people are selling on the lower time frames. And if the lower time frames are getting selling pressure, then the higher time frames are likely going to break down. Over on the 1 hour, we did get a run up toward that 300 EMA, then we got rejected. We did warn about that. This could be a head and shoulders, a shoulder, head, and then shoulder. This would be our neckline that could break us down near the bottom of our channel. And if we do not hold the bottom of that channel, that's likely where we would see those lower price targets. Momentum is dropping down as that VWAP is favoring bearish, causing money flow to kind of stagnate. If that VWAP and momentum continue to favor bearish, we are going to see price action continue to get that rejection. And as we break this EMA channel, we could see the band split apart, giving the bears further control here. RSI is dropping down as that stochastic is favoring bearish, so that's not helping us as well. Over on Bitcoin futures, so the daily are down, and we did get a little bit of a drop here as total did do a little bit better than some of the rest of the market. So total did do about negative 81. Bitcoin did go up. You would have expected dominance to increase. This could suggest that people are buying more in stablecoins, taking their altcoins, moving their altcoins into stablecoins, and possibly buying a little Bitcoin. Our stochastic is dropping away here. RSI is pulling back. Money flow is starting to round as that VWAP favors bearish, bringing momentum lower. So I would watch. This could set us up to trend back toward that point of control, that blue line on our fixed range volume profile here. Now to futures, we are holding our support level, but this isn't very strong. We did try to get a pretty decent run up, and we got another rejection of these EMAs. That could set us up to see further losses and a break of our 57K. Remember, if we break this 57K, we possibly will continue to our 52, and if we break that, we have that 30K playout. However, if we do make a strong bounce here, and we do get a green candle for tomorrow, we could still try to trend forward. I just wouldn't think that's too likely at this point if everything else on the lower time frames is more bearish. RSI wants to pull back, stochastic is rounding, That VWAP does have a break into the bullish territory, but we're starting to round. If that VWAP breaks through the neutral and we see a lower high with consistent lows, momentum would remain bearish, that blue wave, and that would cause that red wave, our money flow, to continue to sell off and show that people are selling more than they're buying. And as futures does lead Bitcoin, that could lead Bitcoin lower. Remember, we do have this gap below us, so ideally we would hang up on that 56.6 gap. If we can't hang up and bounce from there, it's likely that's where we would roll away. Ideally, we come down, fill that gap, then bounce forward, as we do have a gap above us, and we have another gap right up here around that 63K. So we want to fill the lower gaps first. That way we can fill those higher gaps and then continue forward to that 90K. Our stochastic does want to round away here. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is starting to weaken. Our VWAP is breaking for lower lows though, so I would watch. If that VWAP gets lower highs and then consistent lows from this point, momentum will continue lower and money flow will continue to break down. Over on the 2 hour, price action is starting to reject our EMA levels, so we do have some critical rejections. We are struggling to break EMAs and hold. That could show that we could continue to trend lower. Momentum is overall pushing down, stochastic is dropping away. We do have bearish divergence. RSI is weakening, that VWAP is in the bearish territory, bringing momentum and money flow lower. So if that VWAP continues to break down, we will see momentum continue lower and that money flow could break bearish. If that money flow does break bearish, we would get a trend reversal and we could see some further losses. Over on the 1 hour, we are starting to pull back here. Stochastic is dropping away. And VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping down, and money flow is starting to break into the bearish territory. Remember, if that VWAP continues to favor bearish here, and that money flow holds in the bearish territory, and we see that continue across the 1, 2, and 4 hour, that could give us a strong environment for a strong break, which would give that double top play out a higher probability to play out, and weaken the bull flag possibility from playing out. So that's why you want to watch these lower time frames. If we continue to struggle here, we could end up breaking lower. Remember that 30K is a possibility if we break those 57 and 52 supports. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is pretty flat. VWAP is very weak. Momentum does want to push up, but if that VWAP runs away, momentum will follow and money flow would remain bearish. So I would lean more on the lower time frames in this case. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a bit of a bullish channel. The highs and lows don't really connect, so this could be positive. If we can make a higher low, then continue for a higher high here, we could create a bullish continuation channel rather than the bearish continuation channels we've seen that could push us up instead of down. Our side does want to round, stochastic is starting to round. Momentum is pushing down, and that VWAP does want to trend toward neutral. If that VWAP breaks that neutral, we will see that money flow start to weaken, and that would result in our price action starting to sell off. Over on the 2 hour, we do have a long upper shadow candle. That could have been your clue that we rejected our EMA and that we would continue lower from that point. Stochastic is rounding away. RSI is pulling back. Momentum does want to round with a red dot, as that does signal VWAP wants to break bearish. If that VWAP gets lower lows with lower highs from here, momentum will break down, money flow would follow, and price action would break that 57K. Over on the 1 hour, I would watch. This could be a double top within our double top. That could be a rise, a drop, a rise, a drop, and that would be also a rejection of that critical 300 EMA. Remember, that level is very critical to hold above. If you can't get above and hold, you're likely going to see those bears remain in control. Stochastic is dropping, RSI is pulling back as a result, momentum is rounding away, VWAP is breaking bearish, and money flow wants to pull back, so I would exercise caution. If we break that 57K and we don't see a bounce around that 56.6 with that futures gap, then we could continue lower. However, if we break and see that bounce, I would watch for a hold above that EMA. If we can't hold that EMA after bouncing forward, we could still see a rejection and continue to trend down very slightly with our double top possibility. Remember, it took us about a month to go from the highs back down to where we are, so it could take some time being a daily pattern. Over on graph for the daily, we do have the potential to break forward. We got about half that move and rejected that EMA, so I am going to delete this just based on the way the rest of the market looks, and we are close to the top. This is a long upper shadow candle, So if followed by a strong red candle, it's likely we would trend away and continue to drop down. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is starting to round, momentum is in the bearish territory, and money flow does want to pull back, so I would exercise a bit of caution here. Over on the 4 hour, we did hit that orange EMA, we got a rejection, and we broke all of our EMAs. If we cannot hold above some of these EMAs, it's likely we would continue lower. We do have higher highs with higher lows, so this is a bullish continuation as they don't connect well. So that does have the hope that we would continue higher. But if we break for a lower low, I'd say beyond this 17,738, then we could see a trend down toward our 16,316 again. And remember, if we don't hold that, we do have our 14,316. Stochastic is starting to pull back. We have our orange above blue, giving us that bearish cross, bringing RSI and price down. VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, that yellow wave, causing momentum to round and bringing money flow lower, rejecting that neutral. If our money flow remains bearish here, we will see those higher time frames continue to favor bearish, and we will see a continued push to the downside. Over on the 2 hour, we do have a gap to the upside, so I would watch. That could be positive. If we fill and continue, we could get that bullish continuation. However, if we fill then reject, we're likely going to see the bears gain control. RSI and stochastic are dropping. Momentum is trying to break that neutral as VWAP is favoring bearish, bringing money flow close to that neutral as well. So again, watch for a trend reversal. If we get a trend reversal and it holds, we're likely going to see those higher time frames weaken. Over on the 1 hour, we did hit our 300 EMA, and just like Bitcoin, we rejected. We do have a gap above us though, so we could jump up and fill that gap. We failed to do so when we hit the 250 EMA. We have another gap above current price action as well, so that does give us some hope for a continued push up. We may have a very slight gap right around that 16,316 right around here though. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is dropping, that VWAP is favoring bearish, but we have higher lows. If we can break that neutral and hold, we would see momentum, the blue wave, continue up, and that would give that green wave, the money flow, some strength to continue to push up. If we do get that reversal of the VWAP, we would see price action trump and try to retest that 300 EMA. If we get another rejection of that EMA after coming up, it's very likely we're going to head toward the 16,316 and possibly break it. Over on Ankr for the daily, if I can grab the right spot on the chart here, we do have a decent bounce forward. We did bounce off that 2338. That was positive. We are holding our 2673, but we're struggling to break that 2883. Stochastic does want to start to round, so I would watch. If that stochastic breaks down, RSI will follow and price action will drop. Currently, they are bullish though. VWAP is pushing further up, momentum is gaining strength as a result, and money flow is gaining strength. So if that yellow wave, our VWAP, can remain bullish on lower time frames, our blue wave momentum would continue higher, and money flow, the red wave, could try to flip to a green wave, signaling buying rather than selling. Over on the 4 hour, we do have the same rejection of the orange EMA as we've seen across all the other coins. Stochastic is pushing forward, bringing RSI up. Momentum does want to remain bullish as our VWAP is trying to push up. If that VWAP can get a strong high like back here, we could have decent highs with higher lows. That would be a bullish trend to keep momentum higher and push money flow up. If that's the case, our daily is going to strengthen. We do have a bit of a rising channel, so I would exercise caution. We can draw this quick, see what kind of channel we're working with, pull this back. So the highs and lows do connect, so that is a rising channel rather than a bullish continuation, and a rising channel does drop you down, so I would exercise caution. If we reject with this long upper shadow candle, it's likely we could trend toward that 2338. So I would watch the lower time frames close. If they break into a bearish trend, we're likely going to drop away. Over on the 2 hour, we are attempting to make a bearish engulfing candle. That's where the red candle is as big or bigger than the green candle before it. So keep an eye on the next couple candles here. If we drop below this red EMA, it's likely we could continue lower. Momentum does want to round, stochastic is starting to round too. VWAP does want to pull back, but we have higher highs, and we are trying to get consistent lows, so that could be positive. Money flow is starting to round away though, so I would watch that VWAP close. Over on the 1 hour, we are holding above the 300 EMA. That is positive. If we can make a retest of our EMA and bounce forward, we could try to invalidate this bearish channel. However, if we break that EMA, that's likely where we're going to break that 2673 and possibly continue lower. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. That momentum is rounding with a red dot, signaling that VWAP does want to break down. So I would watch. If that VWAP does break down, money flow will continue lower and price action will weaken. Over on XRP for the daily, we did get a little bit of a bounce here, but we're rejecting that 45 support resistance area. If we cannot break above that 45, it's likely we are going to roll away and we could revisit that 33-35 range. Stochastic does want to push up, but I would watch. It does show signs it's rounding, so if that stochastic does round, we could end up breaking down. RSI is pushing forward, VWAP gaining strength, momentum is pushing up, and money flow does want to break forward. So if the lower time frames can stay in a bullish trend, we could see the daily gain some strength. Over on the 4-hour, money flow is green, VWAP is pulling back, so watch if we get a higher low. If we get a higher low, then consistent highs, momentum would remain bullish, and money flow would push up. It would help push price action forward. We are struggling to break past this like 44-45 zone though, so watch if we can break that and hold. If we can't, we're likely going to get a rejection and continue lower. Over on the 2-hour, we are trying to trend forward after getting a little bit of a break, so we could have a bit of a rising channel here as well. I would exercise caution as a rising channel could end up breaking us down. The highs and lows really don't connect too well in my opinion, unless you count the candle wicks, so I am going to delete this actually. It could be more of a bullish continuation, like we have the possibility of on other coins. Our stochastic is starting to drop away. RSI wants to round, so if that stochastic rejects our 30, RSI will bring price action lower. Momentum is rounding. Our VWAP is starting to reject that neutral, so I would watch close. If that VWAP does make a rejection of the neutral and get a lower high, we could see lower lows, and that would break a new bearish trend and cause price action to drop, possibly breaking those EMAs. Over on the 1-hour, we are struggling with our 300 EMA, but if we can break above and hold, we could continue further. I would watch for several candles to hold, as last time we broke, we did just snap back down after a couple hours. RSI is pushing forward, stochastic's pulling back, so I would watch if that stochastic continues to pull back. RSI is going to follow. Momentum is dropping away as that VWAP is favoring more bearish. We have very weak highs with some stronger lows, not very much stronger, but if they continue to favor more bearish, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow could start to pull back. Over on ALGO for the daily, we are trending back to our 1350 like we warned. We did try to break that EMA, that blue EMA, but we got rejected. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is rounding away. Momentum does have bullish divergence, but if that VWAP breaks down, we're likely going to see momentum round away, and that would bring money flow lower, signaling a further sell-off. Over on the 4-hour, we got a long upper shadow, and then we broke away from it. So remember, those do typically follow with bearish pressure. Stochastic is dropping down, bringing RSI and price lower. Momentum is rounding as that VWAP favors bearish. We do have lower highs with lower lows, so that's a bearish trend, bringing momentum down, which will weaken that money flow if we do not make a bounce off that 1350. Over on the 2-hour, we do have the same thing going on, a rejection of our 300 EMA. So overall, that did push us down. Momentum is breaking down. VWAP's favoring bearish. Money flow does want to flip into a bearish trend, and stochastic and RSI are weakening, so the 2-hour doesn't look too hopeful of a reversal. Over on the 1-hour, we did try to break all of our EMAs, but we are trying to make a long lower shadow. If we can follow this with a strong green candle that breaks that 300 EMA, we could try to trend forward. However, if we get a green candle, hit that EMA and reject, it's likely we would trend to the 1350. RSI is dropping away. That VWAP is trying to break toward the bullish territory, but we're pretty flat. If that VWAP does not get a bullish trend, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow could break down and would result in more selling pressure. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. I appreciate all of you.